Okay, we are recording. And hey, John, it's good to see
Hey,
you.
Paul. It's good
Uh,
to see you.
um, well, before we actually jump into it, I was wanting to get some background information on you. I know that we've known each other for some time. John is my brother, but you have a little bit of a non-traditional programming background.
Yeah.
Um, So you didn't go to college for computer science. What are you doing here, man?
So I went to school for economics and finance. Got my bachelor's in finance and a minor in economics, and started my career in financial analyst and reading financial credit agreements and pulling out information and putting it into a database. Uh, and I quickly started doing work where I was aggregating information from lots of different things. And so I was starting to do a lot of little like database work. Um, and I had always done like, messed around with uh, computers in the past, some basics of like game modding and stuff like that. Um, but
What
I
games?
think Half-Life 2, and um, some stuff for
I
like,
remember you messing with a Star Trek first-person shooter like back in
yeah,
the day.
that was so Quake 3 engine stuff. Like that was Star Trek Elite Force, but that kind of started me in some of the modding stuff where I was, figuring out how the Quake 3 engines and like all the Quake 3 engine games all had the same kind of structure, um, which allowed a lot of mods to be written for one and then just go, oh, it works for every Quake 3 uh,
Yeah.
uh, engine game. But yeah, so I was already doing some things like that, but it was always kind of like pulling scripts from places and just like, oh, this works. I don't know why it works, but it does. And um, but it's funny because when I first started doing a lot of like database work and learning, SQL and SQL stuff, um, I think the first time I kind of went like, hey, I'm going to be doing this for a while is uh, when, and it's super weird because I was putting all this logic into SQL queries and I was very excited about, hey, here's all the things I can do with data and
Yeah.
tabulating data in certain ways.
You're
Um,
talking like
it's,
inner query perform like
oh, jumping into like
queries and queries performance and like yes.
really starting to go like, oh, I can actually view like execution paths and things like that, and getting into like these micro optimizations. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. And I remember telling a friend of mine that I work with that is like, okay, even if I'm not doing this, like if I'm not at this job or whatever, I'm gonna get SQL Server Management Studio, and this is going to be my fun thing that I do. And and I look back in a little bit of shame there because it's like at some level there's a way more fun
But
in
but what was
programming.
like what was it that was super fun about it? Because you're talking about like financial data, and that's not fun. Like maybe it is, but like
No, I didn't care at all what I was aggregating or what the actual data meant, but that this data was represented in different structures that I could query was actually really interesting.
yeah,
And I enjoyed, I think part of it was also enjoying mentally mapping out a domain and
hmm,
kind of getting to that whole, uh, that kind of architectural level of seeing how, oh, this thing is built in this way. And I think in a lot of ways it was because I didn't build that architecture
yeah,
I didn't build that data structure. So in some ways, because of the team that I was on and what I was doing, um, it was almost like I was discovering this data structure and how how the software was built. So it was, in a way, it was kind of like I
Like reverse
was
engineering
I
something.
was reverse engineering a lot of things. And I think that that's where I first started with a bunch of things, is going, I need to reverse engineer how this works. And really, honestly, reverse engineering is how I've learned a lot of, you know, programming through the years.
But
Uh,
that's kind of cool. You financial analyst, um, your job was, hey, we need reports of data things. Just get the data in the place it's supposed to be. Um, but you took it a step further and you really started hacking away at it.
mhm.
Where was that kind of, what was your motivation for, like, okay, I got the data, but maybe I could get it better? Or, hey, I got the data, but what's actually going on here?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, I mean, one is just wanting to understand how the things work. And, it's sort of like people giving you a tool that you don't understand. Like, it was a long process to be able to go, oh, sure, we'll get this guy um, access to, you know, access to our server so he can actually run queries against stuff and things like that. So it was kind of like, one, well, I've already fought to get all this. I should probably learn how to actually do it. And then because it was definitely a very large organization, heavy bureaucracy on the IT side. But the I think another component was just realizing that I became the guy who was like, everyone was coming to go, I need custom reports, or I need this query, and they would just go, hey, this is what I want, but they didn't know how to get it and they didn't know what it was. And so in a lot of ways, I would start to see patterns in what people were looking for, to a point where I could, I wasn't just writing an ad hoc query every time. Instead, it started to be where, hey, I can build on, the queries that I have. So it's sort of like I start getting into, well, how can I create stored procedures? Now, how can I combine stored procedures in a way that, I'm creating views on my data and things like that. And so I really started, and it's funny because I really kind of dug deep in that, like, DBA um, uh, domain
Yeah.
early. And I think that helped because I started to think about data structures and how to, inside of that SQL world, performantly, query, how do indexes work? Why do indexes work this way? What's the best thing to index on? How should I structure keys? Those kind of things.
Yeah, I think what's really neat about all of that is that from the get-go, and I have a question for you, but from the get-go, it, it sounds like just getting it to work, that's not enough. Like, because you could duplicate all the queries everywhere, but it's
Sure.
like something didn't sit right. And what I want to specifically ask you was, so at this time where you're like crafting reports and you're trying to get something to work, so you take something from the internet and you copy it and paste
Sure.
it. You're very early in your programming, life. Uh, how did that make you feel? Like, doing, like, okay, I found something that works. I copied and pasted it. It works.
Yeah. Um, I never feel good if I haven't written it, or at least I don't know how it works internally. I feel like as I've developed as a developer, I'm better able to go, hey, I'm totally fine using something that someone else has written, as a library or
That's
dependency or something
awesome.
like that. But I need to at least understand somewhat of the implementation details so that I can, if I can at least feel like I've grokked, this is what I would do if I was writing it myself, and I go, oh, I approve of the way they went with it.
Yeah.
Because, but at the time, early on, yeah, it's like there's a lot of, SQL snippets that you can just go, hey, this queries, and I can replace it with my table name that I'm interested in, or these group of table names. But I think one of the things that comes pretty quickly is that if you get a really challenging kind of thing where it's like, hey, we want to query something, but we want to query something over time, and then we need to pivot the table, and all these, you have these, um, uh, you know, higher and higher levels of complexity that can happen to. You have to sort of be able to. You quickly learn that you have to break it down into smaller chunks, and I think that a big part of learning for me was figuring out how to chunk that problem into, smaller things that I know that if I can solve this, then that can lead me to, well, now I need to solve the next part, and then I can compose those two ideas
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. No, that's that kind of breaking down of the problem is huge. And it sounds like though too, I think what led to a positive experience is having this instinct that if I repeat myself, I'm going to be doing this all the time.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you're already using a machine, like,
Right. Right.
and
Well, and
yeah,
and it's funny because so uh, the team that I ended up being on that was due to uh, they were a research and development team. So in a lot of ways, they were doing work for how can we break this data down? How, what things have we not done as a business that could still be useful information to a client? And because this is a company that had tons of data and, a few channels of how they distribute that data, but potentially there's better ways to, gain insight into the data that they did have.
so this
And
was even like, you're even like potentially coming up with new projects like to serve
yes,
customers better.
yep,
That's really interesting too. And I think that is a huge motivator to growing and engineering when you have an opportunity for here's a problem and I get to
mm-hmm.
keep thinking about the problem. I keep thinking about the
Yes,
requirements. I'm motivated by serving the user and the requirements.
mm-hmm.
That's a huge leverage for, okay, to do this, I need to know more about this. And
Yep,
or you just start hacking away at like, I got to get something to work to
oh
fit
yeah,
the goal. And I think when people are just like, I just want to learn how to code, it's a really hard place to be because you could do anything.
right, right.
And it's hard to find, well, what am I interested, because code is such a broad field. You talked about specifically doing data stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and
there's a lot of stuff you could do just in that domain. And I think that that's what was helpful for me, because at the time, I mean, this would have been, 9, 10 years ago. I'm, I had people who I was sitting next to who were, um, doing web development and building out, they're actually building out websites and writing server code and stuff like that. And I remember going, that's really daunting. If I felt like, if I have to start because a lot of the things that ended up, that I feel like I needed early on, were a knowledge of how underlying everything is, what's actually happening. How is this, uh, and at the time, it wasn't enough to go, oh, I have this. Like for me, it was like, oh, you have an HTML file, and that becomes images. What is happening here? And
it's a good question.
well, and I think that you have two types. You can, when you first get started, sometimes people are just totally okay with, hey, this is this high level, abstraction around, sort of declaring my intent, with like this, in HTML, I'm declaring this is what I want to happen, I want to view, and then saying, oh, I'm just going to hand that over to something else and it's going to render that. But for me, I almost needed to go, okay, what is this renderer? How does this thing, actually work?
So I want to transition that to like, was there a time when maybe you didn't realize that this was what was going on, but when open source became like, this is an incredibly valuable thing. You're talking
Oh
about
yeah.
show me the magic.
Yes.
And that's what open source is all about.
Yeah.
Is yeah, here's how you can run everything, but here's also all the source code, and you can read it, you can change it, do whatever you want with it. Well, depending on the license, but um,
Yes.
were there any like open source projects that you found yourself navigating like at the early stage of your programming life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and to some degree, I mean, before we even get into um, uh, really understanding open source and then going, oh, how can I find these things? The web itself is already such an amazing resource for open, any website you view, you can already see, hey, this is the source code for what's running in the browser, what's actually uh, how the thing
Yeah,
is
that's
rendering.
true.
So
Yeah.
you already get all the JavaScript. And honestly, before I even jumped into, hey, let's actually see how our project is, structured. How do these open source projects run? What is the I'm already going, hey, I can actually see everything that my browser's downloaded, and I can parse through a JavaScript file.
You bring up a
And
really good point, because open source, that's not the only transparency. Like
right,
in the web, all of the client side code, your client has it. It's all there.
yep,
You can view it.
yep,
You can change it.
yep,
Um, and then I know you played around with this too. Binary
yep.
files. It's all
Mm-hmm.
just code that
Oh yeah,
you can read it. A person can read it, kind of.
there's a lot of good decompilers if you needed to,
Yeah.
um,
That's interesting. You talked about this approach to like reverse engineering.
yeah,
And that's interesting too. Like if you just open up, like if you open up the Mozilla, source code,
mm-hmm.
you'll be lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lost when I open it up. But if you start at this entry point of where I'm at, then
Yeah,
I like try to do reverse engineering of what's happening here at
mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
spot. That's a different way of trying to understand what's going on, that's interesting. Um, we're gonna get to coding. I had a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
Kind of touched on it, but just in your eyes, what would you say? Looking at your day-to-day coding life,
Mm-hmm.
what is the significant difference between now than when you first started?
Oh, sure. Between now versus when I first started, I spend less time writing code and more time thinking about code. Um, and part of that comes from two things. One is you spend more time actually structuring the code rather than I'm just going to write and get stuff down, and then hopefully um, the patterns emerge for how this architecture is going to fit out. And I think that in a lot of times, a lot of ways, I can, spend a little more time going, hey, can I create all the linking and dependencies in my head, and I can have a map of my architecture before I even start to sit down and go, I know how this is going to flow. Because, um, I mean, to some degree, it gets easier to do that too, to where you can kind of sit down and go, this is a problem that is very similar to something I faced before. I have a map already built out in my head and I can just start coding. But I do think it's, and part of open source from, going a little bit back to that, that's super, super helpful. Is not only from the contributing side, but just understanding there's so much you can get just from reading, here's how
Yeah.
this project is architected, and there's so much that you can get just from, well, how do they encapsulate the areas, especially if it's like, these giant projects like, something like Reactor, you were talking about like Mozilla or something, where you can go, well, how do they encapsulate the individual pieces?
Right.
And
where you mentioned even like hacking away at games. You look at like the
mm-hmm,
Doom source code. Like
mm-hmm,
is huge, but there's components to it, and John
Yep.
Carmack is just so great at even organizing everything at a large level and a small level. And it's so
Yep.
cool when you get to see someone at that caliber. You see
Oh yeah.
their work, and you can gain a lot from that. Yeah, and that's interesting. And I hear this constantly is like uh, the more years someone gets with coding, the less code individual bits you end up writing, and the more you
Mm-hmm.
kind of just, and I'm in the place where I do lots of code reviews. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
always talking about code is more than 50% of my job than actually writing code.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it's because code grows, and just what you do at that small little bit makes a huge
Yeah.
difference. I want to ask one last question before
Yeah.
we get to coding. So I see behind you there's like guitars. I see some faces of some musicians that are slightly askew, and
Yeah.
I see a piano. Um, I've noticed there's a pattern between people that do music and people that do software engineering. And that's not to say if you don't like music, you wouldn't like doing software engineering, but like clearly you're a data point that has the strong correlation. Uh, what
Yeah.
what do you think that is? Like, what's the common thing there, or how what is there a common thing there for you, or
Um, I think to some degree, and part of it is probably um, I've played now music um, for probably 17 to 20 years, almost. And I think that a big part of once you kind of get past the first bit of, I need to learn how to set my fingers on a guitar, or, play a piano, some of the technical details. Once you get down to kind of like here's some music theory, and you start getting into some of the um, quote unquote mathematical relationships of harmony and melody and stuff like
mm,
that, you start to actually break things down into these are relationships that are almost like composable, and they're similar to some of the ways you might even think about some of the architecture for software too. Is that you are um, sometimes this is a very musical example. Might be something where um, you might be working in a harmonic sequence that follows something that is fairly standard, but you can start going where it's like my implementation detail of that harmonic sequence is very different than if I were to do something maybe somewhat standard or something like that, but it still functions the same. So that if someone who is composing a melody on top of it,
okay.
they get to
I hadn't even put together music composition and functional composition.
Yes.
That's oh my goodness. And you're talking about like an API to a sequence.
Yeah.
This is mind blowing. This was an incredibly valuable conversation.
Well, and you could think about it almost where, because like if you're playing with another musician, you might both be going, especially for improvisation. I play a lot of jazz and I play a lot of improvised music. And if you're playing with another person, a lot of times you sit down and it's like we have a baseline of this is what we're going to be doing. So in a way, you could think of we're two separate threads, and I'm going to be doing my work to represent this composition, meaning that let's say my job is I'm the harmonic accompaniment and they're kind of like creating a melody on top of it or something like that. I can be creating this harmonic accompaniment. But every so often the threads need to sync, in order to go, oh, I can see what you're doing. We have some sort of shared state that we're working with. And now I can respond to that in some way.
I really like that mental model where it's like, hey, for things to be harmonic and pleasurable, like we have a contract.
Yes.
But there's a lot of flexibility to that. And like, that's interesting. Wow. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's really cool.
I
Um,
don't know how well it like totally maps to the real world.
I could see it. I could see it being just a helpful mental model. Like, even like you talked about software architecture. And I think of like software patterns, like the decorator pattern.
Mhm.
I could totally think of that with like, oh, here we have I really want to emphasize this minor, but I'm going to decorate it with the knife or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
same thing, but it's a little different. Uh, man, functional composition and musical composition. And that's interesting. Knowing you, like, I know you have such a deep knowledge of music theory, and that probably comes from this, like, you have this inner drive to reverse engineer and understand what's going on.
Right.
Some people probably just really approach music from just super, and for me, like, I don't know a whole lot of theory, and like
Mhm.
music way more just expressive, uh and I play a lot by ear without
Mhm.
kind of really knowing what's going on. But there is a lot of just hacking around, and maybe
Yeah.
that's part of it too. Is
Yeah.
just hacking around and seeing what you think is what's cool. Well, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for sharing a little bit. Do you
Yeah.
want
Definitely.
to pick an issue and go with it?
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Um,
Uh,
I'll share my screen first, and we can look at the. Did you have another project you wanted to add?
well, you were mentioning looking into Deno, and this Deno's not something that I'm using currently. I've definitely read some background, and I was excited when it was announced.
Yeah,
And
because it's written by the person that wrote Note, right?
yeah, yeah. I can't remember his name, um, but yeah, and I think part of his goal, if I remember correctly, is primarily around like there's a lot of headaches with the way Node handles project level dependencies,
Yeah,
and this is where you get into like Node modules, and there's always been like we'll have small iterations on how we're going to handle Node modules and dependencies, and I think that a lot of what Deno's goal was is let's throw all that out and go with a little more. Hey, I can be super declarative about this is what
yeah,
I want, um, and I can do that inside of my source code. Uh,
yeah. I think it's a really neat project. It's obviously like super popular, like, um, and what's cool about it. So I'm gonna open up the project here. So here's their GitHub project where I get to see the cool file tree of all the things, and here's the README doc describing the
mhm,
project and different docs I might find interesting. But you go to like all of there's 600 plus issues and 64 pull requests active right now. I was like, this clearly has, and see, some of these are like opened just very recently. Like this clearly
mhm.
has a fair amount of activity to it because it's pretty interesting to the community and what's. Um, so I just peruse this list of issues and just pick some I think that might be doable. Um, I think it's a cool project to work on.
Yeah.
You want to do you did you have an issue that was sticking out to you?
So I was interested in so a lot of what I end up thinking about day to day, partially with my current job, and just something that usually appeals to me is I like to give developers a tools to have their visions either make their lives easier or be able to impact what they do day to day. And um, one that stood out to me when I was looking through this was being able to take their they've got a built-in linter, and being able to take their linter and uh, output their linter results as JSON, and that's something that could be written. You could take that results and actually plug that into like an IDE module or something,
Yeah,
and some plugin that now, I can get um, uh, this would be, potentially useful for an IDE plugin so that people can actually get linter information real time.
yeah. I,
Um,
I think this is a great. I think this is good and doable thing to check out. Do you want to go for it?
Sure, let's do it.
I'm gonna say, hey, uh, um, just go ahead and just up that start to. I'm gonna go ahead and sound like I have a multiple personality that we're going to start looking into a PR because we're in GitHub for this. Thank you. Smiley face. Oh wait. Cool. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Do you want to share your screen? Do you want to drive, or do you want me to drive?
Do you want to start? I did a little preliminary.
Yeah, we could do some back and forth. I probably should fork the project if I was going to do that.
Probably. I mean, we could start with just a clone and then build
I've
a
done
fork.
that locally. So yeah, let's just open it up and see. So, oh, I'm printing out my terminal here. That's not right. Let me exit this. Okay. So before this, we talked about potentially getting Deno, choosing it as a project and selecting one of the issues. So I checked it out locally, checked if I could build it, and I could. So
Cool.
It was pretty straightforward. We followed they have really helpful contributing guide on their main project. You go to docs, contributing, and I went to building from source. And
Yep.
Yeah, just followed it. I already had Rust installed, so it just worked. Do you have any Rust experience, John?
Besides reading some documentation and not really.
Yeah, me either. So let's let's contribute to open source. So I got it built last night, and one thing I do know about Rust is target is where it puts its binaries, like when you build the thing.
Yep.
I just ran this cargo build that it told me to run.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am in VS Code. I got my terminal, and if I run target, and then it's the debug target that we're doing this, and Deno, this executable works. It's really nice.
Yep. Yep.
And so I did create like a dummy thing for me to test linting against. Let me see. Do I have a JS file here? Yeah. I think this is it. Oh, yeah, it looks like this lint needs to have a flag called unstable because they're still working.
Yes.
Boom. So I kind of got my linting happening, and so it's working. That's great. I haven't ever written with Rust before, but I imagine all of this is going to kind of have the same pattern of let's just hack around, rebuild it, see what happens.
I think so. I mean, as we poke around, we'll probably get a little more of what their architecture is and how they've broken stuff up. I think everything in what we're going to be looking for is under the CLI.
Yeah, I kind of just looked at. I clicked on it because I was like, we're talking about the command line interface, and then I see hey, there's a lint. That looks helpful.
Yep.
So I guess we're importing some packages. Boom, we lint files. We can do debugging. Oh, okay, that might be cool. Can I see it?
Is that when you do unstable? Yeah, is there a debug? Is there a verbose?
Yeah, let's see. Target, debug, Deno, lint, help, log level. So if I go unstable, I guess I can do -L debug.
Found one files.
There we go. Cool.
Sweet.
We are in. The other thing I'm a little nervous about is, okay, if I make a change, do I have to rebuild the whole project? Rust has got to be smart and do like some incremental building, right? Okay, let's
I do not know.
figure it out. Let's try to just make sure we've got the whole thing going on. So
yep.
I'm gonna just debug a hello world. It looks like we use semicolons in Rust. Whew, that's good.
I
Oh,
think you're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to build again.
yeah. So
Uh,
I'm gonna go cargo build. I just remembered this from here. Boom. Oh, look, it does incremental build. It knows that I only have one more.
okay. Sweet.
Just really thinking about it. There's lots of warnings I noticed that pop up. Are you still thinking about it?
Yes.
You doing okay, Deno?
So while this is happening, so this is kind of like this is pretty much my first time looking at Rust code from a like, oh, I plan on changing this perspective. So I'm thinking a little bit more about the syntax and how projects are structured. I think a good place to start thinking about Rust is probably in that top level cargo. I think there's one for the CLI as well.
This one?
Yes, that TOML file, the TOML file. I think this is going to define things like dependencies and how
Yeah.
you are going to think about your output structure and where your entry point is and things like that.
Yeah, it looks like Deno lint is a separate package, which is interesting.
Yes.
So we might have cloned the
Oh,
wrong thing.
no. So I think you're right though, because so Deno lint, if I remember looking this up, it is a separate package, but it's really just the linter, and our issue shouldn't be affecting the linter. It's going to affect the output, the output sink or whatever we want to call it.
We found this many problems. So here's okay. Right. You're right, because the linter should return a structured output, but when I just run it like this, I get just text, and this is going to be really hard for me to build on top of this some more rules or whatever. So we want to just JSONify whatever structured output is actually getting ran. So
I think so. Yeah.
So one interesting thing though here is run parallelized.
Right.
So if we are going to run JSON, we're going to need to run parallelize, but then can join it all.
Yes.
Right? Okay. All right. Let's put that problem in its own little box
right.
for a moment.
Our thread safety is something that I'm always hesitant to say anything is thread safe. I wonder if they have an ability to just continue to add to an array in a thread safe manner in Rust. Because we could take all the outputs of the files, keep dropping them into an array.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see where we run this thing. Like what's outputting that?
Isn't that format diagnostics?
Oh, maybe it is. So then just for fun, I'm going to pretend to do something like bogus. Let's see what happens. Well, I guess I got to rebuild it.
You got to rebuild.
Oh, man. Come on. Oh, that was faster. Oh, no, I think it blew it up.
Something happened.
Could not compile Deno. Oh,
unused variable.
Wow. Such a smart thing. Great. And that was fast. It was a lot faster to stop building. Oh, wait, it died again. What's your problem now? Unused. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because you're iterating through your file diagnostics.
I noticed. Yeah, this is all right. Wow, Rust is picky.
So if you wanted to do something for everything, and we could do a length and do a for loop off the length of file diagnostics.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm in the right spot. So I noticed earlier when it failed, it said I could add a leading underscore here.
Okay.
See if that does it. Here we go. Oh gosh. Is it because it's just building one glorious executable?
We should write an issue about this.
You're probably right. I guess I don't know if you've noticed like the way. Okay, and that worked. So then if I run it, bogus. We're in the right spot.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's great. So D is a diagnostic. This is our data structure thing. So where's the format diagnostic coming from?
Is it in this file? I think it is.
It is. Ah. Okay. 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 So certainly we can create like some JSON thing from here, right?
Yeah, and I think we're going to end up doing format diagnostic as JSON, and then parse our arguments, right? To look for something like a dash JSON.
Yeah. So what's the thing going on? Oh, I guess I lost it because I replaced it with bogus. So, can you see if we have? Oh, we do have tests. I was wondering, can you see if we have like some unit tests we can run so we can maybe get this to go this feedback loop a little faster?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any tests for like lint.test? Lint.test. I don't see any tests for this thing.
This is what happens when you pick an unstable feature.
I guess so.
We could create some tests, figure out how testing works in Rust.
I guess. Yep. Are any of these other CLI things tested? Do you see any tests for these other ones? Tests, unit, blob test.
Files test, metric, performance.
Let's see what's going on here. Wow, this looks a lot. Oh, this is TypeScript. I was like, this looks a lot like what I'm used to. Yeah, this is surprisingly a lot what I'm used to. So these don't look like Rust tests at all.
They're not Rust tests.
I'm glad we identified that. Oh, these are files used to test linting things.
And they're testing linting in. Yes. So these are almost like.
So I'm going to look up one of those files and see integration tests. Yeah. Okay. All right. We can actually totally do test-driven development here.
Yep.
Let's figure out if there's a way for us to run integration tests. And
yeah, I think we can just add it to right here. We're going to have a test, Deno lint. Our args are going to be lint.
I want to make sure I can run it though first. Which sounds
yes.
I don't even. Yes. I don't know.
Let me. I'm gonna actually look this up while we're talking. Rust test.
Yeah, let me see if I can find. Oh, maybe it's in our. They'd have it in contributing. They're like, you need to have a prerequisite knowledge of Rust before you move forward. Development tools. Oh, tests. Oh, yay. Okay.
Cargo test, and then the name of the test.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. Cargo test. And I pass in the path to my test.
Yep, I think so.
Gosh, it's still building. It's always got to build stuff. So where's this I test? I mean, that looks like a pretty cool thing. Is that its own? Is that a new thing? It is.
Yeah.
Wow, look at this thing.
So it's a macro.
Yeah. So you run this, and it's outputting something like whatever the name variable is, and this whole. It's just a nice little decorator for this is, I guess, the boilerplate that they would use for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. We're still doing some compiling. It's probably because we're at the integration test level. There's no other kind of tests for lint tests. Lint. So I'm gonna see if I can do a big search on a lint and anything like tests. And let's use lint stuff. All right, I'm gonna say that I don't start with the word. Nope. Oh, because I don't have regex on. Okay, all of them 0 test pass.
But nothing failed.
What? Why would they all be? It's got some profiling, cargo test. Is that how I would run it? Is maybe this test has some more information of
Maybe. Do we know that you pass them the path to the file for test?
I don't know. Yeah, this is all new to me. I can help. Cargo test name. So, all right, and it's probably not going to work like files like I'm used to in JavaScript world.
Yeah.
Because everything has to be compiled. It's probably
Right.
based on the test name.
So we have a name called DenoLint.
Yeah, so if I run cargo test.
So iTest must be registering tests with like their test runner or.
Boom. Yeah, look at that.
Okay, cool. Oh, okay. So when you said test DenoLint, it found anything that had DenoLint in it. So it was a search because it ran both the lint and the glob.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. It looks like it's looking at it for all of these types of, and it also looks like we're building different binaries of test suites.
Mm-hmm.
So it's running for all of those. So it'd be cool if I could just specify the specific target that I was interested in. I don't know how to do that in Cargo. But I am feeling more informed. Okay. Cool. Test STD. Yeah. Okay, wait. All right. But I think, okay, let's just copy one.
Yeah.
Let's create one DenoLint JSON.
JSON.
And boom.
We could keep the exact same file, and our output's now going to be expected_JSON.out. Figure out whatever that.
Does it seem like, yeah, it looks like we would do, what do you think of this? Like here's single, oh, no, probably not. Performance stats.out. Yeah, I guess expected_JSON.out sounds good.
We need to figure out where expected.out is.
Yeah. Let's see what happens if I just run it like this. I probably should specify DenoLintJSON, but and it failed on DenoLintJSON because
no such file or directory. Cannot read output.
Oh, good.
So we have a thread panic.
Imagining lemon grab being like unacceptable. Okay, that's great. But we have lint. There's expected_glob. We're gonna create one expected_JSON.out. Cool.
Yep.
So these don't look like very comprehensive snapshots.
No.
Yeah, I don't 100% know what's going on there.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm gonna actually, let's just keep it empty and let's see what the snapshot would have been.
Right. Yes. Now it's weird. So it looks like their out file included like some attribute type things to say this is what we were looking for. And it was almost just like, let's just see if you find anything that looks like found 3 issues.
Yeah. So look, yeah, it said, so here's, I guess, the output, wildcard anything,
Anything.
and then we can do found 3 problems. Like it
So
needs to
I,
be found 3 problems.
so I'm almost thinking what we end up doing is figuring out what our JSON should contain. I almost feel like we should be fairly comprehensive with this.
Yeah, I think it's nice yeah, you don't want snapshots to be too flaky, but yeah, it'd be nice. I would say let's just, because we're unfamiliar with a little bit what's going on here and how do we wildcard JSON, like
Yep.
that might be something that we may need to extend whatever. I doubt this is a Rust thing. This seems
Yep.
like something internal.
Yep.
I wonder if we maybe extend it to know about JSON files and be able to just do to match object as opposed to
the
objects have to equal.
Yes.
Okay, but here I am. So if my question then is, if I like copy all of this and put it into here, will I pass now? Look at those little squigglies. Okay. Did I just pass? Yeah. Did I run it? I did run it. Okay. We've got our feedback loop, John. This is it. Okay.
Yep.
Great. I think this could work. I was really nervous about picking up an issue for a language I don't know.
Well, so Rust hasn't failed us yet. So
yeah, do you wanna pong it? I mean, I wrote you the test. Do you want to try to make the test?
Sure. I mean, do you want to just kind of keep working through?
Keep going. Totally your call. I just want to.
Yeah, I think we can knock this out really quickly.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I did a little research to figure out what they were using for JSON serialization, and they've already got a package they're using as a JSON package. So we're kind of good to go without adding any additional dependencies or writing our own JSON serializer.
Great. Lay it on me, John.
Okay, so it's called, you know what? Actually, let's do this. Jump to the cargo file underneath the CLI. All right, are we there?
Yeah.
Look up JSON. Just find
Saturday.
Yes, and do serde _JSON, and then you should be able to use this, I think, without doing any kind of using statements, because I think using really only does like namespace resolution stuff, and I think we'll go with the. I think you can do serde. Yeah, let's do format _diagnostic _JSON.
I'm gonna copy this.
Yeah, we'll grab the whole thing. So it's we're going to take in this object called LintDiagnostic. It looks like they're doing, C style. There's a reference to LintDiagnostic.
Is there? Do you know, like, is there a const? I see we're just letting. Oh no, they're always const unless I say mutable.
Yeah, something's mutable. Yep, I think so.
I'm really liking this.
So let message is going to be equal to, I think you do serde. No, it's going to be serde JSON, and then there's an actual function underneath that. So it's not dot because you're in a namespace. So it's like : or something.
Oh, here's one.
We could just use that.
Yeah, let's follow this. It says they're using. Let me see if I can see it anywhere else too. How they're doing it.
So they're doing like this from string and stuff. I think there's going to be a thing called like toString.
String pretty.
There we go. Do we want to do pretty? Maybe that should actually be a separate.
Yeah, but it looks like they're using JSON. I don't understand how all of this works, but I'm going to just go with it. Oh, man. I don't want to be like, what's the word? I don't have like a whole lot of anticipation. Like people are going to be watching the open source function. But if there are, and if there are Rust programmers watching this, they're gotta be like, oh gosh, these people. Oh look, here's someone using it. Oh wait, that's us.
So I'm looking up on the doc.wrestling.org, and for use declarations, it just creates one or more local name bindings synonymous with some other path. So you would use a use declaration to shorten the path required to refer to a module item. So you don't even need to do a use at the front.
Here, is that only because like, oh yeah, it looks like I can just do JSON now because I'm using. I see.
Yes.
I see. But if I'm for these ones that we're seeing as serde JSON, and I can just say I want to run string pretty.
Yep.
And
I think that's.
I pass. What are they passing in here? J is a. Oh my. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know what's going on here.
And you should just be able to pass a reference to your object.
Oh, I might need to like create my JSON. Oh, maybe that's how it works though. What do you think?
I don't think so.
What is it? What does the Saturday JSON docs look like?
That's a good question. So I don't think you need to like allocate memory up front. I think it's going to actually return a result.
Parsing, constructing JSON values. No. Yeah, it looks like you use a JSON macro. Oh, can just take anything? Is that variables and expressions can be interpreted directly into the JSON value as you're building it.
That makes the assumption that you're dealing with an object that's not known at runtime.
Here's another one. JSON by serializing data structures.
That's what we're looking for.
To string.
And you're just gonna drop in the reference to your object.
I don't know what I'm doing, John.
And then so message, I think that they put, so I saw that there was a question mark at the end of there, potentially to indicate that it might come back.
No. Or, I don't know. And then I think they also have, and I probably don't even need to put this in. I think that this also works where, what am I trying to say? I think that this also works by Ruby has, they don't have explicit returns. It's just the last line is an implicit return. And that's a little bit of what I'm picking up here with some of this. I don't see an explicit return at all.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Huh.
But here, let's just try to run it. Let's see what happens. JSON. Boom. Let's run it. Deno bin, Deno. Oh no! It hated it, John. It hated it. Cannot use the question mark operator in a function.
Oh, that's because that would be like string or null. So I think if you do that,
because I said I'm returning a string, it has to be a string.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Expected. Oh. Okay. So clearly I don't want to do the question mark operator, it sounds like. Maybe I do. Okay. What's wrong with you? Implicitly returns as its body has no tail or return expression. Well, I'm happy.
Oh, rapid and okay.
How come this one? Oh, okay. Oh, I wonder if that, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, wonder what this format stack does. Maybe there's like a certain type of, maybe this is a macro-y thing. Oh no, but this is gonna return a specific, oh yeah, this is returning like a result. I wonder what format stack is doing. Let me check that out. Format stack. How does this work? And then we just return, oh, yeah, we just return it at the end like that. Okay, all right, then I'm going to try that out. I'm going to go message equals this thing, and then just go message, right? Okay, because expected std string. Oh, probably because toString pretty is a little different then.
Must be. What is, let me see.
What is a regular string?
Oh, it returns, so toString pretty returns a result of type string. So,
oh, I see. It expected an std string, but it found a result. How do I unbox a result?
into OK. Dot into underscore OK.
Is this what question mark is?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, and that's going to be a function.
I feel like I'm not doing Rust right. I feel like I've missed something.
Maybe.
Nope.
Didn't work.
Or in yeah.
So I think the concept of result is to give you multiple return types. Like you could throw an error. You have an error result inside of your result. Right.
So type see the std error. Okay, there's implementations. There's not really a lot of. So this is a very functional thing.
Unwrap.
Oh, because then you could do and thens and stuff. That's super cool. Oh, wrap. Oh, unwrap.
Unwrap.
That's what I want to do. Yes. Unwrap, or can I do like? Oh, yep. Just unwrap.
All right. Okay. So we'll see. We'll get this working, and then we should also look to see what
mechanic is generally discouraged. Instead, prefer to use pattern matching.
That's what I was thinking.
All right.
I was about to say, what's the right way to do this? But we can start with this and see if that works.
Yeah. The trait serialize is not implemented for linked diagnostic. The plot thickens.
All right. Serialize is not implemented.
Lint diagnostic. This might be a separate package. So I wonder if I can give it my own serializer, or do you think
we should be able to pass in some default serializer, right?
Does Rust have like reflection where it knows things at runtime?
I don't know.
Do you want to go check out DenoLint? Does DenoLint have, that would be really helpful to know too, though, if DenoLint has a reference to, has a pre-existing reference to the serde JSON, because then I don't have to add a dependency, and that would be, I understand, a little discouraging.
Right.
It does not. Okay. So let's see if there's another way to do this.
Interesting. Okay, so apparently you have to any type that implements Serde's serialize trait can be serialized in this way. So technically you have to attribute your struct.
So there's another pattern for doing this as well. If we want it, and maybe this helps us be a little bit more iterative too, rather than having our main model be serializable.
Yep.
We have an adapter model that can take in the properties of our other one that we then do the right serialization stuff.
Yep,
So,
that sounds good to me.
So we're going to call it a length diagnostic serializable, maybe, or something, or serializer adapter. Maybe adapter makes sense. I like adapter.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what how you declare something. Okay, all right, this is super doable. I can. This isn't like some humongous, glorious object-oriented class. All right,
No.
I can mess with this. So, all right, okay. So yeah, what happens if I say, well, I want to create a pub struct, or maybe just a struct, and we'll figure out a better place for this to live. How do you comment? Is it to do? Where should this live? So we're going to call it the lint diagnostic adapter. Location seems like something that might need an adapter as well, right?
I think so, yes.
Okay. I don't really know how files work in Rust either, so it would be nice to put this in a different file.
Yep.
Adapter. Okay, but you're saying there's serializable things that we can do here.
Yes. Look at the JSON. Oh, you're already there. Jump to
Derive.
Yes, you're going to derive, serialize, and deserialize.
What is this?
Obviously, these are I don't know. Maybe derive is a how they do abstract classes, or
yeah, that's crazy. So I'm really only interested in serialize though, right?
Yes.
There's no reason to be.
Yeah, we're not going to deserialize down into these.
Derive, serialize.
Yep.
Derive, serialize. Okay, great.
I'll have to do some research into. So these are related to what Rust Lang calls traits.
It sounds like that's the bit that can give you some reflection stuff.
Yes.
That's interesting. It's really interesting. Okay, but it looks like this might be it. Now the only question is, how do I take my lint diagnostic and make an adapter?
Right.
How do I Rust? How do I create a struct? How do I actually work with this thing? Instantiating structs. Oh.
It's just
Oh, I can also create a function for it. I'll create a function for it.
Yeah.
Function.
Build adapter model from, or yeah.
Diagnostic or wrap. How would you describe this?
I mean, you're constructing your adapter model from, I don't know if you want to use the word base. Yeah.
Source.
Sure. Source is going to be the lint diagnostic.
Diagnostic. It returns a lint diagnostic adapter.
Yep. Should we take in a reference here? Is that something you can do in your constructor or in your parameters?
Is that how it works? Is that what?
I think so.
I guess. I mean, yeah. Let's do it.
Because, and it's, you know, we're not going to mutate it. It's going to be fine.
Yep, you're totally right. So location adapter. This is right? This is how they do it?
Yeah. And then we're going to grab...
You're writing Rust right now, John. We're doing it. All right, file name. It's probably be a good idea to make its own function for it. Like, well,
probably. Yeah.
location adapter. But this is that a publicly exposed function thing?
I thought I saw that it was pub.
Oh, sorry, I'm clicking all over the place.
That's fine.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Yeah, what would we do if it wasn't? That would be weird. I don't know how that would work. All right, but we're gonna say we're gonna take a location and we're gonna return a location adapter. And so here's my location. Oh, it looks like I could probably just do the return type thing. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
File name, get it from my source. File name, line, get it from my source. Line, get it from my source. And there's trailing commas. And, or is that just one thing? Over here when I initialize a thing. Okay, there are trailing commas and I do this thing. Cool. So then over here, I'm gonna have my location, create location adapter from my source.location. And then I'm gonna call lint diagnostic adapter to do what? Oh.
We're just gonna fill out our.
Oh, right. And that's all that stuff is right here.
Yep. Location, message code, line source, snippet link.
All right. I'm gonna try to impress you now. Not with this line though. All right. Now I'm gonna try to impress you. I'm gonna record a Vim macro. Boom. Boom. Source dot. Oops, I should have copied it. Okay. There we go. And delete, and then go down. Okay. All right. Some Vim magic.
Sweet. Okay, so quick question about how we're interpreting the use of semicolons, because I've seen that they don't use semicolons in the last line if it's the return value. Is that the case?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. That's a really good question. Wow, I have no idea.
So I think that we don't use semicolons if it's the last line, and a semicolon indicates that it's part of the closure. And
oh, what an interesting point. Maybe that's right.
Don't know. I have no idea.
Let's see what the compiler says to us. But then all we need to do here is
first we need to let adapter equals create yes. We're passing a reference to the D.
I don't know. I guess so.
Yeah.
Isn't it already a reference? Why do I have to do that? Okay.
Because it's all about the contract.
But the type. So like this is where I'm a little concerned about.
Oh yeah,
so
you're right.
It's already like if you do C++, like I'm getting a pointer of this.
You're getting a pointer of the pointer.
So I don't know what the reference thing is in Rust. I know in C++ I would get type errors now because
yes, you're right.
But I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's just see what. Okay, clearly something's not happening right. Oh yeah, semicolon. Okay. Expected. Create. Oh yeah, you're right. Look at this. Yeah, what is that? So let's figure it out. What is Rust? What is? We talked about needing to understand things. What is the meaning of ampersand and star symbols in Rust? Is it actually making sure that I do it by value, or by reference? That's what it means.
Yeah.
And it's me being explicit. I am passing this by reference.
Right.
If otherwise, we will copy it. Is that what's happening?
That's what it seems like.
All right. That explanation is good enough for me. So let's do it. So like, I imagine for like almost all these functions. Well, maybe I have no idea. I have no idea. All right. Because I think you'd want to do by reference by default, but maybe don't really quite know.
Unless you're doing like mutations, you're not expecting it.
Ooh, so this is interesting. Cannot move out of source, which is behind a shared reference. Whoa, you have so much control in Rust. Look at my naive JavaScript trying to like do things. And it's because I guess I need to create a brand new string.
So you could do string from, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Whoa. So I guess I really want to do like, and I love how I'm getting compile errors for this. That's really nice.
Yeah.
So I guess
safety by default.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
I wonder if string has a constructor where it just takes the string. I guess it's a copy constructor.
Right.
That should be okay.
Ooh. All right. All right. I'm getting some different errors. Did I mean a different kind of string? Yes. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing.
Rust create string from string.
Oh, I'm not in Ruby. I am in Rust. Copy string. Can't derive copy because of string.
Okay.
Allocate a nil, which is what?
So it's a pointer in heap memory. That's why you can't. Okay.
All right. How do I create a new string? Yeah. String from. You're right. You're right. It was string from.
Okay, but string from, you're like able to pass in a value of a string.
Oh gosh, you're right. Is that an array of? Is that an?
Is that just like an array of characters, and you have to take your string and actually get the char type?
You're right. Strings. You know, I don't know. I'm gonna try from, and we'll see what happens.
That sounds fine. While you're doing that, I'm actually going to look up to.
Mutable strings. That's an interesting language feature.
Yes. Well, and that's really a resizable array, you know. So but that's the point, is that behind the scenes they can go, if it doesn't mutate, we know exactly how much memory to allocate.
Yeah. How do I copy string from a string? Yeah. I just want to figure this out. Clone.
Sure.
Cool. All right. That would be really easy. Clone.
I wonder if you can apply traits after the fact. I'm going to look this up.
That would be really surprising.
Yeah, that would be.
Let me know if you want to switch.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Okay. Man, it's funny how it throws these errors for things not being used.
Where's that happening?
So here, now that we've introduced format diagnostic JSON.
Oh, well, it's got to work where if you're doing.
Yeah, let me. Function is never used. Like, let me just play around with this for a little bit. How to suppress. Allow dead code. Oh, man. Wow. Okay.
And you have like if defs, whether or not you're testing. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do both. Let's just do both back to back for now.
The dead code?
Or I was going to say, we'll do both the JSON output and the other and just test it. I know that we need to
Oh, I
test.
see. That's a good idea. Yeah, no, that's a good point too. Oh, but then I see here's also the length level is defined here. Oh, that look, there's like super helpful. Wow.
Yeah.
And deny warnings. So otherwise, normally it would just be a, wow.
Interesting.
I think that's a really good, I like it a lot. But for this kind of stuff, it's a little crazy. But look, it's doing stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Woohoo! Okay, output. Look at that! Yes.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's everything we needed, right?
I think so.
We got a file name. We got our line number, our column number. We got our message. Yeah.
So now what we want to do, though, if we're in JSON world, what we really want to do is capture all of them. We don't need to print them right away. We really want to just capture them. And then JSON an array.
Yes. Yeah, we don't really even need to. Yeah, the interesting thing is we really don't need to run JSON until we have our array of structures of just lint diagnostics. And probably, I wonder how they would feel about doing this because it would change the implementation for even like debug printing. It almost seems like when we're parallelizing, why don't we just go ahead and write the structures to an array and then just iterate over our array of lint diagnostics?
Yeah, I think this is where something like if we were talking super OO, you would do like I think a visitor pattern, where if we're doing JSON, my visitor builds what are all my violations.
Yeah.
If we're doing just pretty print, my visitor prints.
Right.
And then
that's true.
Then I can execute my visitor's cleanup. And for my pretty print, he doesn't have to do anything. But for my JSON one, that actually then, okay, we're going to print the full JSON. So that's the pattern I would do here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you want to switch?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea.
Okay. Do you want to get this up to something I can pull from?
Yeah. I will go ahead and create the fork.
Okay.
So working on...
While you're doing this, I'm actually going to run to the restroom real fast, and I'll be right back.
All right. Oh, I told myself I was going to keep... Sorry. I just realized I told myself I was going to keep notes of like certain highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
I forgot to do that, so I guess I'm gonna...
That's okay. You should have to go back and rewatch the whole thing.
Obviously, right? That's the thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a highlight right here.
Yeah, I wish I knew what time it was. All right. Bye, John.
Bye.
Let's see. Working on lint JSON. JSON output. Oh, I can reference this issue. Okay, great. Working on lint JSON output. I should fork this to my account. We are being forked. Great. All right, I am gonna pause because I am not 100% convinced that I have all the SSH stuff set up. So I'm going to pause this recording. Hey, so John, do you want to share your screen now?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. I'm going to have to remember... Oh, the host disabled participant screen sharing.
So. Oh, yeah, I did that. I'm just kidding. Allow record. No, I said allow record. That wasn't right. Forbid record. I'm sorry. Nope, I don't want to share my screen. Advanced sharing options. All participants can share. Okay, there you go.
All right. All right, I'm gonna share my screen real fast. All right. Did you see my screen?
I do.
All right, cool.
A quick second, because I'm going to invite you to my fork so we can be working on the same branch. Who has access? Invite a collaborator. There you are. Okay, I gave you access.
Okay, let me, what is your, figure out where your fork is.
So I'll send it to you in the Zoom chat, the SSH thing.
Okay.
Or if you need the HTTPS one, here's the HTTPS.
That's pretty good.
Does it say remove or remote?
Oh, it does say remove.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I don't think it has a dash. I think it's this remote add. Right?
Maybe. Let's see. Yep, it is. Okay. So I'm going to do, what is your branch called?
6721 is what it leads with. It's the issue number.
Okay.
6721
JSON output.
Okay. Yep.
Let me, before I check out, I can actually fetch from you.
Sweet. The internets are working.
Okay. I'm all up to date. It should be. There we go. Here's our stuff.
Nice.
Okay.
This is your live sharing, John. John's like, there's a delay of like 10 minutes. So things that we're at. We want to combine all of the outputs into one JSON output. So all the rules go to just one thing, right?
Yep. Yeah, we want to, I almost feel like we want to have, so before we kind of like get into what we're actually going to do, we, lint files is kind of like our entry point to the linter. And it takes in a set of args, right? I'm almost thinking it might end up making sense to actually have, you know, something that's
JSON.
Yes.
Sure?
Lint files, JSON, and then having lint files. I mean, maybe. I mean, I think we're always going to get to this run parallelized.
And I see like some locks and stuff, so I'm like nervous about. It seems like there's some business logic. And it's weird because it's a developer thing, but like these things that I don't understand, but they're apparently important, I tend to call business logic.
Right.
And it seems like there's some sort of things happening here.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know we're gonna.
So
we know we're gonna get down to this point before we would do any kind of.
Yeah. So check this out. Run parallelized, then dot await.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we could do run parallelized and then do something after. Well, wait. So we just ran it. Yeah, how do we feel about like creating some sort of visitor, like doing this visitor pattern thing? John's like, you are so OO. We already created an adapter, right? So like I could just say,
We
hey, do I want to have a JSON visitor or a print visitor?
Sure. And so the idea being that run parallelized is going to have a there's going to be a simple reference to some sort of base visitor that it's going to know, hey, handle this this lint output.
Yep. So the way that I see it is on line 90 through 91. If you remove those lines, we would just do.
It's going to end up being visitor.
Visit. B.
Yeah.
Then at the bottom of it, we would say visitor.finish.
That's going to be after run parallelized.
Right after await. Yep.
Yep. Now we probably need to then do something with what's output log? Who's using output log? Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to need to have a mutex. Maybe we already have that.
Another way of looking at this.
Yep.
If there was like a way to do observables, here, I could say these are my two different subscribers, like or like I have the single observable stream, and but then before I've even run anything, I say I'm going to subscribe to it with a print observer.
Yep.
Or I subscribe, or I'm going to do a map reduce and then subscribe with my JSON thing or whatever.
Yes.
But I don't know Rust observables.
Yeah, look that up.
Observables in Rust. It's a thing.
Is it something that we can?
No, these are people trying to create their own observables. That's not something we want to do in our Look, we implement JSON, but we also put observables everywhere.
Yeah, we don't want to get too off the.
So there's nothing. It looks like there's nothing really. It looks like. Can you check out our TLML file, the cargo, and see what do we have a dependency called Pharos?
With a, how do you spell it? PH?
No. We don't have RX. No, there's nothing like that. So then I think this visitor thing is the simplest way forward.
Sure. So we need to be able to create some sort of interface, and then we need to be able to create some sort of class-like object that's going to have some sort of state involved in it. We know that just the debug print visitor is not going to need any state, but we know that the JSON one is going to need state. So let's look up interfaces.
Traits are interfaces.
Okay.
So we can say we have a trait for a trait for a diagnostic visitor trait.
Okay.
You say something like trait. This is what I'm looking at. And
okay.
Back in 2015.
Let me see what you got. Right now, I'm only sharing, I think, the IDE.
Yes, and that's fine. Yeah, I just see the ID. That's fine. Um,
Abstraction without overhead.
I wish I wasn't having to be so object-oriented about this, but I don't know. I don't know any other way.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right to allocate. See, the thing is, yeah, I think you're right, because it doesn't seem right to allocate the memory for, my diagnostic an array up here if I'm not going to use it.
Right. Yes.
Um,
Another thing that we could do. Just 1 second. I just
yep.
How would you do something similar? Basically, we're still needing like a callback function. I can't think of anything simpler than this visitor thing. Anything else I think isn't worth it. And just saying we can't do OO because it's called OO, that's not. That's the voice in my head is telling me like, stop with the patterns, Paul. But I'm like, keep going.
So I'm going to have a trait called lint diagnostic visitor.
Yeah.
This seems right, and it's going to have a function that's going to be called visit. Are they lowercasing the function names?
Yeah.
Okay. Visit is going to take in a wait, is this possible?
Lint diagnostic.
Yes, a lint diagnostic. Yeah, just a lint diagnostic.
And it returns nothing. Right.
Something like this. Is that how we do nothing?
Maybe. Maybe.
Is void a thing?
That doesn't. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Okay, let's start with that. Now, how do I implement a?
I think technically it should return like a result. Like if we were really good Rust programmers, it would return a result. You just don't give it a. Oh, here's interesting things. So I'm reading the docs. Unlike C and C++, there's no restriction on the order of function definitions. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
And it looks like f in main, like if you do function main, if you don't do the pointy arrow, it just means it doesn't return anything. But if it doesn't return a value, you also give it that open close parentheses, whatever that is.
Okay.
And yeah, when it returns open close parentheses, you can omit it from the signature, so we can get rid of it from the. Let's just keep it really simple and just do f and visit.
Yeah, this seems good. I think doing a result's going to be fine because we're technically doing results down here. You see where. But
I think that's true.
But it should be something that's handled in the visitor, right?
I don't think so. Like, maybe we want to. I really don't know. It's up to you. Your call.
We'll do basic now, and if we want to add errors later, we will. Okay.
So because of the way Rust programming language works, we don't need the arrow. We don't need that part of the signature. Then it's just f and visit, and that's it.
It's just this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just f and visit, John. I'm sorry, John.
It's okay. All right. So, is it something with? I have an implementation for this thing.
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. Let me. I'm looking at the traits documentation right now.
Traits versus interfaces. I'm looking at this.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you can create a struct and then an implement. I don't know. That's not what I want, but that's interesting.
So the thing about traits is that I can attach. Oh, wait. Maybe we didn't have to do all this stuff I just did. Oh, with the adapter stuff.
Okay.
I can attach a trait to something I did not define. That is one of the key differences between, that's what I just read, key difference between interfaces and traits. Interfaces, it's as part of the signature definition, I have to say it implements this thing. But maybe I could attach the serialize trait to our lint diagnostic our lint diagnostic.
Lint diagnostic? Okay. How do you attach?
I don't know. Let me go look up let me look at the serde JSON docs and see some details on this trait.
Okay.
Man, so much things to be learned. The serializer. What did we say? Oh, it derives from serialize. Attach serialize trait. Let's not worry about the adapter stuff at this moment. Like that's probably someone else that knows more about REST can probably figure that out.
It seems like we should be able to, based on what I'm reading, but I don't know what the syntax is. Okay.
There's one other part of the visitor, which is when we're finished, which doesn't take anything, and it's just, we can call it close. Yeah, that sounds nice. I like that. That sounds cool. Okay.
Okay, so I still don't know how the right way to implement a trait is, or create a class that implements a trait. And is it always struct? No classes in Rust.
The compiler is capable of providing basic implementations for traits via the derived attribute.
Okay, so we're going to have a struct. This one's going to be called. So, okay, this is what I'm seeing. I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it. So I'd end up having a struct called debug, or console Lint's diagnostic visitor.
Yes.
It has no state, so it's just like that.
And then you do an impl.
And I have an impl console Lint diagnostic visitor, and it's going to. Oh man, how do I do that?
It's going to impl. I don't know, John.
Okay, but it somehow needs to also take the trait in. Like it's going to go. I'm going to be.
For you didn't say. Oh wait.
Oh, is it this one?
Oh wait. Yes, you import for this thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, and this is going to go implement some members.
You have an IDE.
Yeah. So I'm using Writer and testing out their Rust language features in it.
Very cool. So let's just throw in the printing one here.
Yep. Yep. So what we'll end up doing is for visit, we will go down here and
It's 106 and 107, right?
that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to copy it because
That sounds like the least destructive of the options.
And then we'll just say this is D because that's what they've been calling it.
And then close is a no up.
Yep, closes.
And I would comment no up. Like,
is that fine in this?
I usually do it in the method body. Like if ever I'm doing a no op of something, I just say, hey, this is a no op, and that's intentional.
Yeah.
Um,
but like I guess in Rust, because then returning thing, it could just be open. It doesn't have to like return.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Cool. And we're ready to do our next one.
Well, we can test this. You want to test it?
Oh, sure. That's a much better idea.
Before we build the next one. Okay. So we actually want to say something like let visitor equal, and then now we want this to be like I'm thinking very typed. We want this to be known that it is of this visitor type, this lint diagnostic visitor. But I guess we could start off with this is the console lint diagnostic visitor.
Sure.
Something like this.
Oh, I think you'd have to do maybe : new. Just based on what I'm seeing right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It doesn't take anything in. Okay, there we go. All right. So, because down here,
yep,
we're just going to want to go visitor dot visit.
Yeah.
We're going to pass in.
It's really funny, by the way, because you're just sharing just this application window. Whenever there's like a thing that pops past your window, everything like shakes. I see like part of your desktop, but then when it goes back, because the bounding box of your application is changing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You're right. I'm just.
If it's really annoying, let me know.
No, I'm fine.
I'll fix it. Okay, so this should work, I think.
Yeah.
Because and this locking, this output lock should make sure that nothing is able to write to the visitor while something else is writing to the visitor. So I think because
it's a lock. Yep. That is interesting. That's not something we need. Maybe it is though from pushing to an array. Like
I think we need it for pushing to an array. Typically, I would have thought that I would want to put the lock on the visitor and not on the.
And that might be the right approach. But let's do that later. Because I think if arrays are already thread safe or whatever they use for whatever it's called for like a linked list or whatever.
Yep.
If that's already thread safe, we don't need to do this.
Yep.
And so then I would suggest, yes, we need to do this output lock thing on our visitor.
Yep.
Just the console lint one, but that's maybe worth a, yeah. I think, let me see. What are the collections in Rust? Let me see that. Go ahead and run the test. Let's see.
Yeah. So, okay, you had cargo. Did we have to build each time for the test, or did you just do cargo test? Can't remember what it was called. All right, you had done all the work of finding our test. Our test file and what our test was called. I think it was just called I'm just gonna go with it and see what happens. All right, lots of issues. Lots of issues.
Sweet. Something weird happened there.
Yeah, we got some weird issues.
Oh, there's no new.
Oh, no new.
How do I create a struct? Oh, just the same way we created struct before. There's no
Oh.
constructor. It's just the curlies.
Just this.
I would think so.
Let's do it. Let's see if that's any better.
It's a really weird thing it's saying there.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there, but
no method named visit found for struct in the current scope.
Can't find a declaration. Okay, so this definitely.
Oh, maybe we need to actually cast it as a trait or something.
Okay. Back to the documentation. This seems right. I mean, based on the documentation, I should be able to do. Oh, the weird thing I think is I think it's expecting this. Let me look at how for works. For a given type. That means bool can. Oh, no, this is definitely what it's supposed to be.
Huh. Traits, rest by example. So I can create an animal. I'm looking at some examples. Say animal new. Oh, this is how you do it. Okay.
Is it on the struct?
All right, try this out. Do that. We're going to implement the diagnostic visitor for this thing. Try that the way we had it before.
Looks like this one. Oh, sorry. Yeah, back up here.
But then go to where we do let visitor.
Okay. Back down here. Let visitor equal.
Do like in TypeScript, do a colon after the visitor.
Oh, like this? And cast it?
Sort of. Yep. And we're going to cast it to a lint diagnostic visitor. Yep. And I don't even think we need the open curly there. What is Den? Dine?
Dynamic?
Oh my gosh.
What's that?
Yeah, let's see what happens. I should be able to find visit now.
Yeah, okay. Let's try it. This is an associated function, not a method.
What does that mean?
So I don't do this. I go like this.
Oh, you pass in the and self. Oh no, no. Well, oh, but we're gonna have to manage state for one of them, so we need it to be
Right, we need it to
member.
be a member.
So the way you do it, I'm looking at some examples. Let me send it to you. The way you do it is, if you want to share your screen, do you want to share your whole screen?
Yeah, let me share the whole screen.
Can you share your screen, the whole screen, nothing but the screen?
Let's do the whole screen. Share. All right, you see it?
Yes. So
Okay.
you look at how they define their functions. They take in, there's a static method, or you can give it the and self.
Okay.
That's how it's and I think I would take what the trait is saying. You know, we don't need
Yes.
a mutable self unless we're actually mutating the self. Like this is which would happen, I think, if we're doing the state management one, which I guess visitor would be that, but
yeah.
Let's cross that bridge when we get there. But I think we want to do the and self for the visit declaration thing.
Yes, that makes sense. So,
So on line 32, when we declare it, we're declaring it as a member function, which the first argument is this and self thing.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And then that would have popped up. That would have popped up in our, I think it's an and, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So,
it is.
That's how.
Okay. We need this for close as well.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Python does this as well. Like this, there is no global this keyword argument. I believe Python does that. I might be wrong. But now we need to change on 39 and 44. We're no longer doing our real implementation. We need to actually implement and self.
Yes. This still happens just like this, right?
That's what it looks like. Rest by examples. Tell
yes.
me. Oh, I don't think it's that. I think it's just and self. I think maybe self is a very special keyword. I think it's just and self.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I should be able to then grab, okay, so it's saying, and so I should be able to go like self dot,
yep.
dot. If I wanted to, I could close it here. Oh, no, I can't.
Well, I don't think we haven't finished the close bit, so maybe that's why I can't yet.
That seems strange, though. Like, does your order of implementation matter? It's almost like I think this is almost like this is your header.
But I think it's actually knows I'm a JsonLintDiagnosticVisitor, and right now JsonLintDiagnosticVisitor isn't adhering to the implementation.
Oh, okay, okay.
So if you go to on line 46, do close and self, I think then you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, let's do that. Self dot visit. Oh, wow. You're right. So order matters here.
Why is it? Oh yeah, and it's not upset.
It's just taking some time.
But now it should work. So let's try it out.
Okay. So we should go. Let me make sure that I still had my visit happening down here. Where was that? Here. Yep, we got our visit. We got our visitor. All right. Okay, we still got that weird issue with this can't infer type for type integer. Doesn't have a size known at compile time.
Can we get rid of the dying part?
Yep. Try that again. This same thing doesn't have a size known at compile time.
The
The
size.
trait size is not implemented for LintDiagnosticVisitor.
Oh,
Local variables must have a statically known size. Apparently because it's empty, right? No, it has.
I think we can. I think we can do something when we declare our struct. I think we can. We can say it has a size.
Okay. And is it just because I just have functions and I don't have, because like you didn't need it for these.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I think we just declared the struct on line 36. Can we?
Oh,
Maybe
right.
we need to just open and close it.
Like that.
Let's try that out.
I don't need a semicolon at the end.
Ah, that's right. Ah,
Yeah.
I think that was it. Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, let's try that again.
That's something with async fn is doing some weird stuff. Have you run like cargo and things?
Yep, I built.
Hmm.
Let me make sure that I'm updated. Stat update. I'm pretty sure that I did this yesterday, so
Yeah.
yeah, we're good.
I think that you're good. Unless you're
Um,
too up to date.
I don't know, maybe.
So
I still got
what's
this.
the first one? If you go to the what's the first error?
Okay, yeah.
Expected trait, but we found a struct.
It didn't like that.
And what's wrong with this thing?
Okay. They're saying I've got a mutable dolly, it's a sheep, and it's a new animal. So,
I guess I gotta do a constructor for it.
but wait, animal is a trait. Okay, wait a minute. This is the opposite of what I would have thought, because they're newing up based off some interface. And then it's not really casting to sheep. It's saying we're going to use the new implementation on sheep. But this is where the actual cast happens. Okay.
Okay.
So
let's
it's the opposite of what's happening here.
Yeah, let's undo a little bit of what we're doing. Let's get rid of that casting of LintDiagnosticVisitor.
Yeah.
This should work.
Yes, this should work. You want to try it?
Let's try that.
Let's get it building. It's been a little while. Okay, I did find some error. Let's see what we got. Clone is not implemented for lint, console LintDiagnosticVisitor. Because of some.
Oh, that's weird.
Is clone needed because we're doing this run parallelized? And we're not like.
Ooh, because of closure stuff?
Because of closure stuff. This is, you know, we want it to be able to like be passed by reference somehow, use visitor.
We certainly don't want it to clone. We want the same one.
Exactly.
So we need an and in front of the somewhere.
Where are they doing error count? They do error count, clone, error count, fetch, add. Okay. So do we need to wrap this inside of some kind of like atomic usage kind of deal?
I think that there's a way to do like borrowing.
Yep.
What if we did and visitor instead of visitor.visit? What if we did and visitor?
Wait, Like this?
Yeah, it's something crazy like that.
Sure, try it. I think I got the same issue.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking we're going to need to do something like, so I don't know exactly what ARC is standing for here, but what is ARC? A thread-safe reference counting pointer. ARC stands for atomically reference counted.
It's amazing.
Provides shared ownership of value of type T allocated in the heap. This is why when I'm doing a new language, it's nice to have an IDE.
Yeah, the share is nice. Thread safety. Wow. Wow. So we definitely, if that helps us do safe things, we definitely probably don't need the output lock for, that's just so that we get one output at a time. We're not like, for
Right.
that 3D printer thing, that's what, so that output lock I think can definitely go to the, most likely go to our specific visitor, which is cool.
Visitor.
Because that's helping us simplify this. It's really nice.
Yeah. So I still think,
let's do this ARC thing. I don't know.
So I think we're going to have an ARC new, and I think it's going to be a console. Let's just do JsonLintDiagnosticVisitor.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is going to be this, and this is going to be a visitor.
It's amazing.
Okay, so let's just pretend this is happening here. This is now going to be.
I think you just visited on visit. Yeah, it's a proxy to everything.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh,
let's see if this works.
Man, so much I take for granted in JavaScript world.
Well, in this, JavaScript single thread, so we don't have to worry about.
That's true. That's a good point.
Until you start writing stuff, some node threading stuff.
Oh man. Oh, it looks like it did something. I think
it definitely did something.
Wow. Oh, I left my hello world thing in there. Oh man, here we go. So while we're doing this, I'm going to do a little bit of research. I now have a deeper appreciation for traits. Oh, what's this? Oh, it failed because the outputs are different.
Yes.
Because
we're testing JSON, and we're not getting JSON. We're not doing that at all.
It panicked at pattern match failed.
Because we're not doing any of the JSON one for the output.
Did I drop the JSON into the pattern match thing? What does that output look like again? It's an empty file, isn't
it? It looks like where is that? So I couldn't even find that. Where did he have the we had test lint expected JSON out? This is what you're expecting, but that's not going to be.
Oh, but that should have been it.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Oh, but it's not going to show Paul, right? Certainly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not going to show any of this. It's going to show my stuff.
Oh, that's.
Why did we get it? Yes.
All right, let's just see if we can get it to pass here. And the reason it did that is because we copied in the JSON one that we wrote for this. So let's go back to our lint.rs.
Yeah, but wait, we shouldn't have gotten that.
No, I think we're still doing the JSON one.
Are we?
Yeah, because that was I left that in the code. If you go up.
Is it all the way up here?
Yeah.
So it is. Okay, so.
Yeah, let's just change it to format diagnostic.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can just get it to work. So if we change this to format diagnostic, run it, let's update our snapshot, and just double check that all this is doing what we expect.
Can we get it back from test lint, or do I need to actually run?
I would run Deno lint JSON just
Okay.
so
that is
it's just cargo test.
It's not test.
It's
build, isn't it? I have to go to actually my target, right? Oh, target debug.
No, so you just pass in the test name. If you just do cargo test, and our name is the test name is Deno_lint_JSON.
Okay. Okay. We're just running the actual test against this, and we're gonna see what our output is. Got it.
The part that I was.
Oh
gosh. If you go, we can get rid of, if you want to just comment it out or something, the deny warnings thing.
Do it at the very root.
That might make sense. If
yeah. Okay, let me, I'm gonna fix my headphones real fast. Okay, so this is back under CLI, and we have, where is our root here?
It said it's at, if you scroll up, it'll tell you where it's at. CLI main RS.
There we go. And then we're just going to comment this out.
Yeah. That's going to help out a lot.
We'll add it back on in a second.
Yeah. If you can go ahead and just comment that out, that'd be great. It's building now. So we just got the warnings instead of it blowing up.
Right.
Because we're still newbies to this. But I'm getting it, John. I'm learning. I think I feel, I feel like I can contribute.
Yeah, I'm learning more about how they're doing threading. And it seems a lot safer. Like they know right away.
Everything passed.
Yes.
Which it
should not have passed. There's no way it should have passed.
Right, because it had my path.
It has your path.
Looks like our test didn't get actually ran.
It filtered out.
There's no test that passed?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess you were right to just run just lint, maybe.
Yeah, let's try that. So target
if you just go up to the test we just ran earlier, you go up, that one seemed to work, right? That ran it.
Yeah, that one ran. That failed. The output was.
Yeah. Now here's something that we can improve upon too. Doing it actually like unified diff output instead of like, that'd be helpful for our snapshot tests too.
Yeah.
That's a nice feature, potential feature, which we're going to need to touch this output thing. We might end up needing to actually split this into multiple MRs. One where we can do a better generic matching. Like one where we can do maybe a JSON matching, but then maybe if there is a difference, we can actually print it out. And that's that's interesting.
Okay, but we're at least in a good spot here.
Yeah.
We know what we need. I don't think we need to get this test passing just by copying in my paths. I think we know what to do. We know the other.
Yep. What I was concerned about is it said thread panicked. And I was like, oh no, did we mess something up? But I think that's just our test had an exception. And our test, his test was running on thread. So
yes. So I think this is the right approach. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to get lint open. I'm going to close the others.
Okay. You do have a really big screen. So you might want to, if you want to go back to just sharing your ID, because it is a little hard to read everything else.
It is even worse.
Or if you want to just minimize your.
How's that? Better?
That's good. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So we've got that for the console diagnostic visitor. Let's go ahead and create our JSON lint diagnostic.
Ooh.
And then we are going to need to figure out where these should live because it probably shouldn't all live in the same file.
So the struct JsonLintDiagnostic.
Oh, struct. Yes.
This thing is going to have some state to it.
Yes, and it's going to have the state of
like private variables and stuff.
There's pub, so I'm thinking we're going to have something called
it does seem like pub is the thing.
Okay, if you don't put a pub, then it's private.
Okay.
So, so we're gonna have a thing. This is gonna be called this. We need an array or collection. You looked up collections.
It's yeah.
Is it that?
Well, I would call it. Let's call this.
Yeah, this is gonna end up being called diagnostics. And this is a VAC.
Oh, a VAC of
diagnostics. Do we need to say that there are references?
That sounds really scary, but I guess so.
Is it anywhere else on this page using VEX?
Yeah.
VEX strings, but they didn't do it as there's okay. They're not using. Okay.
Stuff gets let's leave it like
oh, it's not like this. It's just like this.
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna have a
implement the lint
diagnostic visitor for JSON diagnostic visitor.
Yep. So we might need to do a new. We might need to construct.
Yes. We probably will. I don't know.
How do we initialize my variable?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think you do need a name.
Initialize private variable and struct and Rust. In Rust, visibility works by module.
Right.
So when I say something's private, that doesn't mean it's just private. It's not going to be private to this file. Okay, so that's cool. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to need a constructor. Which that's fine.
Let me look up, I'm going to look up empty constructors. So I want this to be called, but I don't.
It's just like how we were creating one before, but it's like a special static method called new.
Right.
For this. So in our thing here, we're going to go, yep.
Something like this. Say, hey, this is this thing.
And it's going to create have it create specifically a JsonLintDiagnostics. And maybe this needs to be part of.
Yes.
Maybe this needs to be part of our struct because it's not technically part of that implementation.
Maybe. Oh, so maybe I need to do this. Okay, I get what you're saying. Maybe I need to do implementation just JsonLintDiagnostic.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Yeah.
And then this is going to be a function dude.
It's interesting. It's interesting how modular it is, but I think it allows me to do some of this interface extending at runtime, which is really neat, which I think is going to solve our adapter problem that we ran into earlier.
Yes.
I don't know how to get that trait to work.
Do I need self or anything like that, or I just grab diagnostics? How do I get to? Oh, it's gonna
Oh,
be this.
yeah, you just
And then diagnostics
Yep.
is um,
a vec new thing.
back lens diagnostics.
And I think it's actually a colon.
Yeah, I think it is too.
New.
Oh, just at the front, new. Is that
Oh
a
no,
thing?
I think it's like a static method. Yeah, let's see. I gotta look up how to create a vect. Vect and rest. Vectors, rest by example. It's not really telling me how to do it. More vec methods. Oh, it looks like I don't need to pass in the generic. It's just vec : new.
Okay. Oh, just like this?
Yeah. I think it's good.
Okay, done.
Yeah, you might be missing a semicolon.
I don't think so.
Oh no, maybe not there, but I think okay, yeah. I think you're right.
I could do this, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's all that's right.
Okay.
There, I'm gonna do a push, or well, I'm not in JavaScript world. Let me figure. Yeah, I do. It is push.
Push. And this is just gonna be D.
C++ too. And then
D.
Yeah. What's its beef now?
Let's push. Append an element to the back of the collection. Panish the number of elements to the vector overflow U size.
So what's the red line about?
Oh, yeah. Can it borrow immutable local variable something? Oh, so this has to be declared as not as mutable. So this is now. What happened?
Mud.
There. Oh, no, that didn't work. Okay, let me look at Rust.
Oh, wait. No, self is mute. Self, we do mute self. Mud self. Or self mud.
This?
That's not right. All right, let's look up that error. No. Oh, see, it's and much self. That was it. And much self.
This.
Yeah, now I can do self.push. Yeah. This is like one of my favorite things about, I guess it's going to be and D as well.
Yep.
This is one of my, is it? Oh gosh. What's wrong with you?
Oh, yeah. Well, so it needs to be this. There.
Oh, okay.
Super weird. Oh, but that's not working. Missing lifetime specifier. What? Rust lifetime specifier. Lifetimes. Ownership, lifetimes.
Missing lifetime specifier. Rest a vector of references. Yeah, we're not doing something right. If we're talking about lifetimes, we're not doing something right.
Maybe this just needs to literally be a vector, and visit doesn't take in a reference, and we just do a copy. But we can't do a copy because we haven't built the copy up. This seems weird.
Maybe what I need to do though here is take in that, but then copy it here. Can I do d.copy? Is there d.clone? Clone?
Yep, there's a d.clone.
And it's worked?
Yep, but I don't know if clones, we'll see if clone works or not. But we could start there.
Okay.
Okay. And so inside of close, then we're going to take our diagnostics. So I'll let JSON equals self dot diagnostics dot.
We do a map.
We don't even need to do a map. Can't we just take the entire array?
Well, maybe I want to actually push my adapter stuff into here.
Oh, right. Yeah, we do want to do let adapter model.
So maybe instead of doing push d.clone, maybe I want to take in a diagnostics as a thing of lint diagnostic adapter.
Yep.
Lint diagnostic adapter. Yeah, hopefully we don't need that, but just for right now. And then I use my create lint diagnostic adapter.
Equals. Was it build or create? Create lint diagnostic adapter. Then we pass in.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to push the adapter model.
Sweet.
Sweet. Let's see what this says. Oh yeah. It's not C#.
Yeah. And just a single word variable is probably good.
Yep. Yeah, cool. I'm call it adapter.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So inside of this one, we're going to take all of our adapters and we'll just push them into. So I'm going to go let JSON.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to what's going on in line 40 and 41.
Oh, yeah, where's 40 and 41? Yeah. So we're going to go, yeah, let JSON equals, and then we have a format diagnostic JSON. But we don't actually want to take that. We actually want to take an array of these.
Yeah, I would say let's just get rid of that function. Let's just get rid of that function.
Let's just do everything here.
Let's just do it here. And that's what I'd also say for the other one as well. Like these visitors should now encapsulate that bit.
Yep, I completely agree. So I'm just going to go to string pretty. So we'll start with.
Sure. You got doing some weird bouncing thing now because you're just sharing your application, and you got lots of pop-ups, and you're using a real ID.
Right. All right. Yeah, let's just go with screen here. If I did this, is this better? Is this better like this?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I can go in.
Whoa, that's even better.
Okay. All right. I got to figure out where I am now. Okay, I'm here. And this is going to take in now this dot. Oh, that's not this. It's just going to be diagnostics or self dot diagnostics. Okay, that didn't work. Found. Just need to be a reference. Sure.
Cool.
So now we need to
print the JSON.
Print the JSON. What's our print function here? Print line. This is how, we're doing this with a new line. Got it. Just going to copy this whole thing. All right.
Wow. Is JSON going to be okay? Because we did import that's that's a results thing. How do we get that thing before? We got the. What was it?
Oh, we went. We unwrapped it.
Oh, unwrap? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Now we know we don't want to do that for the end result, but let's see if this works. All right.
Yep.
All right. Let's jump down. Back down to where we were over here, and
so I should
files.
Just replace console with JSON. New.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that should work. And then visitor, and they not like this. Can have our immutable look observed with visitor as mutable. Oh wait.
Oh, right. Oh,
There. Is that okay?
I guess so.
Because
Sure,
that means because this visitor now has it mutates itself.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
JavaScript world, like, this is the default. Everything is mutable. I love that it's not by default here, and I love that you have to be super explicit.
Yeah. Okay. Types differ in mutability.
Yes, that's right. And so we need to change our interface.
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So let's jump back up here, and we know that our this is going to be self.
Yeah, and I wonder if we can get away with it not doing mute here. You know, on line 39. I wonder if we can get away with it not being mute there. Like, I wonder if
Maybe.
mutability technically extends mutability.
Right. Potentially. Let's try. Nope.
It's not. It's not happy about it.
Yep. This needs to have.
Okay. All right. You got me, Rust. I tried to.
That's a little disappointing. I don't know.
Sure.
I feel like an external thing should know that you're mutating some internal state of your object. Like I shouldn't have to declare that I'm going to use a function that's going to mutate my internal state, because then that's exposing some implementation.
Yeah, but that's actually like a really powerful thing to, and you can do. It enables you to do some really cool optimizations when I know not mutable. Cannot borrow data in an arc as mutable.
Okay. And I still don't think this needs to be mutable. I'm gonna remove mute for a second. I still think this is super weird.
A push is a mutable thing. Like, so.
Yeah, but I feel like I know I'm mutating the object, but I feel like, okay. Okay, so how do we do this mutable arc?
Yeah, let me look that up. Oh, here it wants us to use a mutex.
Okay.
As a way for us to, that's cool. I guess we can just use mutex. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and similar, we have a case that's doing this over here already.
Yeah. Okay. So where do they? You saw where they want that mutex?
If you go down, go down
all the way down to where we were at. Lint files. So I'm gonna have a mutex on visitor.
It's gonna look just like output log. So we're gonna do visitor, and then inside we'll do mutex new but then we're gonna pass
mutex new, and then this thing.
yes. And I bet you we can actually get rid of output lock now.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's really cool, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I'm actually gonna get rid of this.
Yeah, and now we're gonna, instead of output lock.unwrap, we're gonna do, that's how we get our visitor.
Yes. So we're gonna get this visitor
I
right
would call
here.
this visitor lock, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're gonna go let visitor equals visitor lock dot lock dot unwrap. And then we'll go visitor dot visit.
But it's got to be a mut visitor, right?
Yep.
On line 127.
Yep. That's it.
Wow. Does 117 have to be a mut?
Nope.
Maybe not. I don't
You
know.
can't. You're not mutating the lock. I don't think.
No. Let's try it.
All right.
Ooh. Oh ho ho. It's good signs, right?
It's good signs. Didn't break anything.
Wow, I like that. I like how it turned out.
Okay, that's fine. That's what we expected, right? No. Yeah, it is.
Output did not work.
For
If you go down, we didn't get anything in output, right?
oh yeah. But you know what though? I didn't see it in output last
because we
time.
did it, but we're not running our finish.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, we're not running finish. Okay, this is gonna be easy. Then we're gonna go. We have to grab visitor again once we're done with everything.
Yep.
So
Visitor. We can do
this. Does it make sense to do this? Okay, this might seem super weird. I'm gonna just try something if that's okay. Let visitor equal
yeah, that does make sense.
this. So we can grab that. Then we're gonna wrap this in mutex. Then we can just grab visitor at the end.
Yeah, is 129 okay? Are we able to like override a reference like that on 129?
No, we're not okay with that. So this is going to have to be something else. I'm fine with just grabbing it always. Let's just do that.
Well, so what's kind of cool is in this scope, it's not mutable. Like on line 118, that scope of visitor is not mutable.
Yeah. Interesting. That seems fine then.
And then let's call this on line 129, let's just call it visitor ref. I don't know.
Sure.
We're not in C# land.
Visitor dot close.
Cool. Yeah, let's check that out.
All right. Value barred here after move. Okay, so the value is moved, and
I think we're gonna have to. I think
we're gonna have to unwrap it each time.
Yeah, let's just keep the lock. I don't.
That sounds fine.
Some other things, ways to do it, but
yeah,
I would suggest just keeping the lock.
Just keep this back as visitor. Sorry, just wanted to try something.
No, that was worth trying. Now we would do visitor lock, unwrap, close.
Oh yeah, we can just do that.
We don't have to declare anything.
Visitor lock, unwrap.
Cool.
Try again.
The building?
Value barred here after close. Yeah, we got another build error.
Borrowed here after move. Variable moved due to use
in the closure. So somehow we're having an issue with declaring this thing and then putting it into the closure and then taking it out of the closure. What's up? Oh, let's do this. I think. Yeah. Let's do this. Let visitor lock equal visitor lock dot fun.
What? What are you talking about?
Well, they're doing this for error count, and I think they're going to use error count later. They do.
Oh, what does that mean?
So somehow this is like, okay, when you write a lambda in C++ and you declare your scope, I think that's what's happening here, except it's implicit, meaning that if you just started using something, it would go, okay, well, you're now putting this inside of this scope.
That's interesting. Let's try it out.
Yeah, let's see. All right.
Wow. So we technically cloned the arc.
Right. Which means that it's no longer, somehow that it almost makes me feel like this is a new mutex. Maybe.
Okay.
Let's see what we got for our output, right?
Woohoo! And we got an array there.
Yep, we got an array and we got our things. So technically our output is correct, except for this. This is weird.
Yeah, you're in Windows, man.
Oh, I'm in Windows.
That's awesome. Really awesome. Cool. So the next thing I would suggest doing is let's go visit our visitors. Let's figure out a nice place for them to live. Obviously, committing would be a great idea. I do need to hop off now.
Yeah.
But what would be cool is format diagnostic doesn't need to live on its own. The visitor is good enough to
do all this.
To do this. And then JsonLintDiagnostic, whatever. Now we just got to click on the warning, the blow up if you warn thing.
Yes. Again. Yep. Yeah, we need to fix that. And then, well, before we fix that, we need to have a thing that reads from so that we're using both. We need to parse our args to see if we're using JSON format or not.
Right. That's the next thing too.
Yes. And I think we'll end up doing something where we'll implement a function here, like, something called format.
What do you mean?
I think instead of doing it all right here, just so that we got a nice little function just built into here, maybe. Private utility method that
we could put that like print function too. That just the line 41 that could go great. Like as a default. But I don't know. Like we could encapsulate that or something.
Like
we also got to figure out a good place for these things to live. And that might be a good.
Like JsonLintDiagnosticVisitor takes in a printer.
This is when things get heavy.
And then we only have a single implementation of printer right now, which is printed to the. But that could be cool because maybe you don't want to print to the console. Maybe you want to print to something else. But anyways,
you might as well just like maybe pipe your console outputs and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
No, that's
cool.
Cool. This is awesome. Yeah. Do you want to commit and push to the branch, or if you want to play around with it some more? I think we got to figure out where they're going to live. I don't know how to do that.
let's say, do you want me to commit the removing the warnings?
No, no, no. Yeah, let's not commit that. And then we
Let's
should
just do
probably make
this.
sure that it still builds, though.
It won't build because we have
We have
warnings.
onion stuff. Yeah. Um, if you want to commit it, go ahead. We'll have to clean it up.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do, this one's going to be, I'll call it adding visitors.
Yeah, but it works. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun, man. Never
Yeah.
done any Rust programming before. Do you want to stop sharing your screen real fast?
Yep. Let's do that. I'll get a, nope, not share. How do I stop the share? All right.
Hey,
Hey.
that was
So,
a lot of fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen the project before, but it was cool getting to play around with code and learn some things about how Rust works and, you know, how spoiled I am in the JavaScript world, not worrying about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
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 What was your kind of takeaways?
It's cool. I like it. I've been spending more time in C++ recently, so I see some of the parallels in thinking there. I definitely feel like Rust is trying to be a little more safe,
Yeah.
and at least tell you, hey, you're probably going to do something wrong, especially if you start working with threads.
Yeah.
I think it is nice jumping into here going, hey, we definitely have some parallel work that's happening, and you're not immediately going to mess things up because Rust is going to give you some help there. But that was fun. I think we're really close to getting to a point where everything builds, and we're doing both JSON and pretty formatting.
It's exciting.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
Yeah. I think we got to figure out a place for these kind of things to live.
Yes.
So I would call these like lint visitors
We
or
should
something.
figure out how we can import either files or dependencies or how these modules work.
But now I kind of feel like, and going back to something we originally talked about of seeing packages and just how different people implement their structures and just how that's important. I would have no idea for a brand new Rust project, like how should I do something? And not to say like this is how you should do it, but now I have a template of like, oh, here's a project that exists. And if I was going to start a new one from scratch, like, oh, here's how that one was done. And that was a lot of fun. Thanks for that issue. It was an interesting issue. Glad it kind of worked out. I guess, yeah, the other to-dos, and so I'll keep track of these to-dos, but the other to-dos are also to figure out if we can apply that trait without the adapters. And that seems like a really interesting pattern that Rust has, is I don't have to do adapters because I can apply interfaces after the fact. So that would be really cool as well, but probably moving them to their own files before messing with any of that could be nice. Because then we could probably just expose just one method that's like a create lint visitor method. And that's the only thing that's the only public thing from that module. But hey, John, thanks for hopping on the open source function and talking and contributing. It was really fun. I'll catch you later, man.
Catch you later. Thanks for getting us started.
Bye.
Bye.